You are listening to A Scary State, and this week we're covering Wisconsin. So, Kenzie?
Yes, Lauren.
Let's get scary.
Wiscansin.
I almost forgot what to say, and then I remembered.
I'm rubbing off on you.
So, everyone knows, recently there was the 2022 Wrapped for Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
And we had so many people who said we were in their top 5, or they tagged us in their pictures, and it was amazing, and it made me so excited.
I'm not gonna lie, there's definitely a few people that reached out that were like, oh yeah, I listen all the time. I'm like, wow.
I know.
So nice.
And we had some people who were like, you're my top listened to podcast. And I was like, oh my God.
Stop it.
It was so cool. Oh, it made me
my
so
one
happy.
friend, she's like, I feel like, you're famous when I listen to you. I was like, I wish I was famous.
Right. One day. One day. But yeah, just, I don't know. It was fun to hear. It goes to show that, like, we're doing something.
We
That's
want you to
awesome.
tell us, we need the validation.
Yeah, we actually
need
really
to tell
do.
us that you love us, because other than that, we don't know.
Right. So all of this, like, tagging us, incredible.
Yeah. At this point, I just kind of assume we're talking to ourselves.
Yeah, me too. And, like, Joe, so freaking annoying. He has 4 podcasts that he listens to, right? And he points to the last one. He goes, I've only listened to them once. And I said, I noticed I'm not on here at all. And he goes, that's because I listened to you on YouTube. I said, good catch.
The loyalty.
And then he goes, I also listen to every episode live.
That's true.
It is true.
That's
But I'm like,
kinda
we
fair.
need these listens, Joseph.
That is kind of fair.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
And I realized we never talked about our reunion.
What is there to talk about?
Well, I mean, we had so much, like, leading up to it. I feel like we just have to say it went well.
it did, because we got hammered.
We meant to go out that night to go to dinner.
No, that did not happen.
It did not. And then Joe and I were like, that's okay. We'll still go to DC to, like, hang out with our friends. No. I took a nap at 6.
Yep.
Woke up again at 8. Ate McDonald's. Went back to bed.
Mhm.
Woke up again at 10.
Yeah.
Watched a movie and went back to bed.
Nice.
That was our night when
Yeah,
we got back home.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times.
Good times. Good times.
So you had a dream last night?
I had a dream last night. And I thought, since I had a dream, that I would bring... Since I had a dream last night that I remembered.
Yes.
Because these days, I always dream, and I know that I always dream, and I can kind of picture what happens.
Yeah, but it's
But I
like
don't-
fleeting. It's
Right,
there.
but I don't remember them all the time. And these last couple days, because, Team No Sleep, I remembered them.
I feel ya.
And you were in them.
Aw.
And I wrote it down, because if you asked me what it was now, I couldn't tell you, but I wrote it down this morning.
Oh, good.
So I figured I'd also bring the dream interpretation cards that you got me,
Oh.
and we could interpret to see what it means.
Okay, this is fun.
Okay, so this is the dream. We're going on a trip, and we have to get there somehow, and something happened in between this part, but at one point, this person in the dream said that we needed to attach birds to the car to get it to fly.
Okay.
Think like James and the Giant Peach.
Okay.
At least that's what I thought in my dream. That's like James and the Giant Peach.
Okay.
How is the car going to be lifted up by birds? But then all of a sudden we were in a helicopter.
Okay.
And you were flying the helicopter?
Oh.
Yes, you were flying a helicopter, which
Turned into a nightmare, huh?
Yeah, real quick. This was this part of the dream, it was like one of those things that I was in it, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I was watching.
Mm-hmm.
We get to where we need to go, but we're on a cruise ship.
Oh, okay.
And we're trying to check in, but we're all kind of scattered
Mm-hmm.
about, and we're trying to figure out where to check in. And
Were we with friends?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
There was a
Others.
random assortment of people.
Okay.
I find you, and you're trying to lead me to the check-in place.
That would be what happens, yes.
Yeah, because I couldn't find it. We bypass it and go straight to the rooms. And it's huge. And it's all these connected rooms where you have a big hallway, and there's little corridors off to the side. We get to the one part, and there's one room that has a normal size bed and a bathroom attached. All the other ones are either just a room with a twin bed, or they're out in the open beds.
Ew.
Yeah. And so looking at it, and you're like, well, since me and Joe are married, we should be the ones to get the room. And I was like, bitch, I booked it.
So now Joe's with us.
Well, he wasn't there, but he was with us.
Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that's an argument I would probably make.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I was like, the fuck? I booked it. I should get the big room. I lost that argument because I started walking the other way, and I found it was one of the open rooms, but it was still a normal size bed, and it was by itself.
Oh, okay.
And it was all blue. There was more that happened.
But that was the highlight.
That's the highlight that I can really remember, that I wrote down to remember to tell you. So I figured what I would take away from that is some sort of trip, the boat, and being with friends.
Okay.
And we would find the cards that work with that. So, okay, so we have some people.
We got some ASMR with the
family
shuffling through the cards.
Okay, cool. With all of our cards, I have flying without wings, transport, water, and beach.
Okay.
And people. So let's see. Flying without wings in a dream is almost always an exhilarating, positive symbol. Thank God. So this is a good one. It's a celebration of something happening in your waking life that gives you or will soon give you a high. Perhaps you feel you've achieved or on the brink of something significant. This deep satisfaction can relate to relationships, travel, your professional life, not that one, or a personal project.
Oh.
If the flying is easeful, this confirms...
Easeful?
Yeah, easeful. Like...
Easy?
No, easeful.
I've never seen this word before. Easeful.
Like,
That's
with
so
ease.
weird.
Like with ease.
Yeah, that just
Full
sounds
of
really
ease.
odd to me.
This confirms the idea that you're feeling self-assured, positive, euphoric even. That's funny.
Wait, real quick. There's a piece of hair on the microphone. Can you grab that? Thank you. I'm looking at it.
Okay, transport. Any mode of travel is likely to convey a message about the way you're making progress in your life. Ooh, aircraft and dreams suggest new experiences and excitements.
Ooh.
Ooh. Good things happening. Okay, water.
Mm-hmm.
Water is a symbol of your emotional state with associations of change and flow.
Oh.
A water dream may suggest you'll pass this new phase. God bless. People. Some dreams, of empty people.
What is an empty person?
Oh, sorry. I forgot a preposition. Some dreams are empty of people.
Oh. I was about to say, that is terrifying.
Some are heavily populated. This was heavily populated. There was a bunch of people. Okay. So frequently, people in a dream will represent aspects of your own personality or preoccupations. This is true of friends and acquaintances, but it can also apply to strangers. A useful point to remember when you have a puzzling dream about someone you've never met. The key to understanding might be what they do or say rather than who they are. People working together might suggest the importance of cooperation.
Oh.
So we were cooperating. But then you argued with me about the room. And so that doesn't say anything on here. So there you go. So basically,
Wow, so pretty good dream.
seems like new changes are coming.
Mm-hmm.
And
You got to go with the flow.
go with the flow. Good things are causing happiness. And relationships are okay.
All right. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Too bad. Oh, I forgot the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is so true.
Hmm.
A sandy beach on a tropical island indicates a longing to escape your everyday routine and responsibilities. A freaking
Mhm.
But we
So
started
we
off at the
want a
beach.
vacation.
Yeah, we want an escape from reality. That's
Yeah.
sure.
That's why we do this podcast.
Exactly. I also brought the tarot cards
Yes.
that you bought me, and I figured it'd be ceremonious. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To do a reading, past, present, and future,
Okay.
of where the podcast may go with each other, since you got them for me.
Oh, okay.
So we'll both put our energy into it. I'll split the deck, and then you put one of the piles underneath the other.
Okay.
Do you want me to take from the top, or do you want me to fan it out?
Whatever your body and soul is telling you to do.
Sometimes it depends. Sometimes I like to see what comes out on top, and sometimes I feel like I need more of like an opportunity to pick the cards. Okay, past, present, future. All right. So, past, it is, the High Priestess, inner voice.
Ooh, I get that one a lot.
Oh, these are so cool. Sorry, I'm just looking at all the... Okay, so some of the key words are truth, wisdom, divine light, knowledge, harmony, and spirituality. You know, if this is our past, that would make a lot of sense because I feel like it's saying learn from the past
Mm-hmm.
and use it as guidance. So the High Priestess signifies the power of knowledge, divine truth, trust, represented by the 3 stages of the moon on her crown, while the scroll within her hands is a sign of her great wisdom. Oh my God. As she sits on the earth, she looks upon it with severity,
Severity.
thank you, and mercy. The full moon shines brightly above her head, highlighting her blessings and her wisdom, meaning
Can
in
I
her
look at
voice. What?
Can I look at it?
Oh, yeah. You may find others asking you for guidance, or equally, you may sense the urge to reach out to someone with strong intuition. The High Priestess asks you to reflect on decisions, but also reminds you to trust and believe. So I was right. High Priestess, trust our past, listen to our past, learn from our past, trust our instincts. We do, in fact, maybe know what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay, present. The Magician, which is skill. Magician, juggling, openness, magic, creativity, trickery, craftiness, mastery. The magician takes control of his destiny. He absorbs power from the universe which surrounds him, allowing him to manifest the energy needed for the tasks at hand.
Oh, okay.
So he's a master at life. If we're juggling with life's journey and are ready for whatever the universe throws at you, and working hard can achieve our goals.
Okay.
It's a pretty good present.
That is a pretty good present.
Most nervous about the future.
I know, I am too.
Okay, let's see. Ooh, the Fool.
Oh.
Change.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So some of the keywords: beginnings, protections, change, adventure, openness, and freedom. The Fool is looking outward with his trusted dog protecting him and following his every move. He carries a small bundle filled with the tools needed for his journey ahead, representing knowledge. The Fool is preparing to take a leap of faith as he trusts the opportunities the universe has brought to him. The new moon is a sign of new beginnings, with the light shining brightly behind it, showing good intention, with the twinkling stars representing opportunity. Change.
Wow.
So pretty much...
That's a good one.
From what I'm gathering, if we listen to our past and trust ourselves and work hard, then our future will have what we want.
Okay.
Because the star messages: have faith in yourself and believe in new beginnings. I embrace change and I'm ready for something new.
Wow.
It's a pretty good outcome.
Yeah. Pretty good reading.
Cool beans. Well, look at that. We are going to be famous.
Oh, God, I hope so.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
We'll come back to this recording.
Well, if you stuck around this long.
Lauren will edit things out to make it sound much smoother than it was.
No, I think it was pretty good. But now, would you like to tell us about
love to
Wisconsin,
tell you about Wisconsin.
the main part of this episode?
That was more for my benefit than anything else.
Oh, no, I liked that. That was fun.
Yes, I love doing it, and I was excited to open. I almost opened them last night,
Really?
and then I had the epiphany.
Oh, I
to
love
wait
it.
Until today.
I love
I
it.
thought it'd be a good, try it
Yeah,
out.
fun first reading.
Yes.
I love it.
So, what I would love to do, I don't know if this is bad juju or something. I have 3 decks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 3 1/4 because I have a mini version,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I wonder what would happen if I just threw them all together.
You should look it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't want to fuck with anything.
Right.
So.
Because when I did a reading, the one in Arkansas, they had 2 decks. And so they made me, like, kind of feel which one I thought was, like, more...
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Because I saw one deck and I was like, I'm obviously going to choose that one because it was prettier.
Right.
And then when I, like... It was weird. When I, like, put my hands on it and I closed my eyes, I was like, actually, I think it's this other deck.
Yeah, and the other one I have is, like, it looks like classic tattoo
That's cool.
type of look.
Yeah.
And, I always, when I associate that one, especially know that this one, it's like practical, magical.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, Wisconsin. I got some family in Wisconsin.
Do you really?
Mhm.
Oh.
My grandfather is from Wisconsin.
Interesting.
There's a funny story about a werewolf. My grandfather's adopted, and his adopted family is from Transylvania or Romania, wherever.
Yeah.
So it's like my dad, my uncle, and my aunt. So my uncle didn't know that my grandfather was adopted. And they're telling this story about how the second son of the second son is a werewolf.
Oh.
And my uncle's like, well, but Dad, you're not the second son. He's like, well, actually, I had a brother, but he died in infancy.
Oh.
And so he is the second son.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad told me my uncle freaked out, was screaming, crying that he's going to turn into a werewolf. My grandma was so pissed.
Oh.
Oh, when they told that story, I was in tears laughing. So funny.
Would you rather be a werewolf or a vampire if you had to choose one?
Okay, question though. When I'm a werewolf, am I like out of control, like what's his name from Harry Potter?
Ooh, or like Jacob from Twilight.
Yeah.
You can turn into one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't thought this through.
Speaking of werewolves, I've been watching Wednesday.
Oh, is it good?
It's so good.
We haven't started it yet because
God,
I
it's so
heard
good.
it's one that you actually have to watch. And so we were going to do
Yes.
it on Monday while we were like setting up our tree and stuff. But we wanted to like watch it.
Yeah, no, you definitely have, because like I was watching it and then like I even paused it when I was doing other things because I was like, I want to pay attention.
Okay.
So it's very good.
I haven't watched it like I just said, but I did see an article online that said she doesn't blink. So keep an eye out for that.
I'm already on the last episode.
Well, then watch it and see if she blinks. Because, like, I heard, like, that's, like, a character choice. Like, she doesn't want to blink as Wednesday.
I mean, it's definitely like she has an intense stare, so I could see that being a thing. I just didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
I don't ever pay attention when any actors blink.
No, I don't either.
Like, I feel like it happens so fast.
But now I'll be like, are you blinking?
Okay. Anyway.
All right, so on to Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, if you're still with us. Green Bay is the toilet paper capital of the world. There you go. The company Northern Paper invested in the first splinter-free
Uh-huh.
in the 1930s?
Yeah. I put a little note. I hate that.
you gotta like drip dry in that.
Right,
Yeah, like,
right. Splinter's not worth it down there. Mm-mm.
And speaking of Green Bay, it is the oldest city in the state.
Cool.
There you go. The Mount Horeb is the troll capital of the world. Main Street is known as the Troll Way, and carved troll statues can be found all over. Folklore says that trolls helped protect crops and promised a bountiful harvest.
That's cool.
66 of Wisconsin's bridges are ranked as the nation's worst. I talk about one of them today.
Oh, nice.
Several of the cities in Wisconsin, like Belleville, Dundee, and Elmwood, all claim to be the UFO capital of the world.
Of course they do.
The oldest and highest lighthouse on the Great Lakes can be found in Racine. The Wind Point Lighthouse was constructed in 1880 and rises 112 feet over the water. Wow. The world's largest cranberry festival takes place every September in Warrens. Every time I think of cranberries, I think of all those commercials with the guys who were standing in the...
Oh!
I thought those were so wholesome.
Yeah.
There is an annual 2-day festival in Paris-du-Sac.
Oh.
Like cul-de-sac, but
Paris-du-Sac.
Paris-du-Sac.
That might be prairie, but you know.
Well, it's more fun to say at the end.
I like it your way more.
Thank you. That is dedicated to cow chip throwing. What is that? Well, it's a discus throw, and that discus is made of dried cow poop. That's gross.
I know.
That's really gross.
I know.
Why would you do that? Wisconsin repealed its prohibition law 4 years before the rest of the nation. Hell yeah, brother.
Oh, yeah.
It is also the first state to ratify women's suffrage amendment in 1919. Hell yeah.
Amazing.
We love Wisconsin. Their cheese, oh my God. Ariana's family is from Wisconsin.
Oh.
And when she came back once, she brought like real Wisconsin cheese.
Oh, my God.
Oh my God. It was so good.
Oh.
So good.
That sounds amazing.
It was amazing.
I love cheese.
So it's really mammoth?
No.
It's mammal.
Yeah.
Okay.
The article said mammal.
Okay. The largest woolly mammal ever to be excavated was found in Kenosha. Wisconsin has a gravity hill in Shullsburg. What's a gravity hill?
You ask me this every time I include Gravity Hill in the notes. It's one of those hills where it looks like you're going uphill, and if you put your car in neutral, or it looks like you're going downhill, whatever. You're on a hill, and you put your car in neutral, and you'll go up the hill. Instead of how gravity should make you go down the hill.
So it's an anti-gravity hill.
Well, it's like an optical illusion. So it's like, it looks like you're going uphill when you should be going downhill.
Oh.
Yeah. There's one in Virginia.
Where?
I can't remember.
Oh.
I wrote it somewhere.
Probably the next time you include a gravity hill, I'll probably ask you again.
You will. This is like the second or third time you've asked.
So this is what's fun about having a shitty memory is everything's a surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
Buckstaff Furniture began in Oshkosh. Ah, what a great name for a town. Oshkosh. Oh my gosh. It's Oshkosh.
Oshkosh, gosh.
Oshkosh, gosh. One of the main things they made were coffins.
Mm-hmm.
The building is now abandoned, and I assume very creepy.
Yeah.
Reportedly, Wisconsin has the highest number of ghosts.
Because, you know, every state is the most haunted. Every state has the most ghosts. Yep.
Sure. The Bleeding Headstone is located at Riverside Cemetery in Appleton. It belongs to Kate Blood, who was an adulteress, witch, and child killer.
Yeah, not a great lady.
And it is said that during a full moon, a reddish liquid can be seen oozing from the stone. Why didn't one of us want to talk about this?
Because that's probably all the information there is on it. Unless you talk about Kate Blood.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, I don't know. Damn. Next time.
Barbie is from the fish. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Barbie is from the fictional town of Willows, Wisconsin. I don't know if I should keep reading these state facts because I get so surprised if I don't finish my sentence. I'm not very good at reading these. I'm much better at reacting to them.
I know.
The ice cream sundae was invented in Two Rivers in 1881. Some popular beers are from Wisconsin, including Miller Lite, Bud Light. I cannot say that.
Leinenkugels.
Thank you.
They have a really good summer shandy, which is like the beer mixed with lemonade.
Oh.
It's so good.
A weird fact in this Encyclopedia of Facts article, it says that a pitcher of beer contains more air than liquid and that a pitcher of beer contains about 90... What? Lauren.
What? Well, Mackenzie wasn't able to read. So, this article I found, the article says it, so we don't know how true it is.
No. I'm just saying the wording.
I don't care.
It doesn't make sense.
It makes sense.
A
A pitcher of beer contains more air than liquid.
And that it can...
a pitcher of beer contains about 90% air.
It just is so repetitive. You just say it contains more air than liquid than other liquids. It is a liquid.
What?
You said, it says that a pitcher of beer contains... Oh.
Yeah, you want to read that again? What is it, Kenzie?
Sorry. But still, a pitcher of beer... You said it twice. A pitcher of beer contains more air than liquid, and it contains about 90% of air. That's how it should have been said.
Okay, well, it wasn't said that way.
It's too much.
Because I do a lot of these state facts all at the same time, and then my brain just doesn't make things sound great. And then I don't look at it again.
If you're going to have somebody else read it.
You know, you could read it beforehand.
Why would I do that? These are so fun. Serial killer Ed Gein was born in La Crosse. I never know when they stick an E on the end. How are you supposed to say things?
Le Creuset.
La Crosse. Like Paris de Sac.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeffrey Dahmer was born in Milwaukee. Oprah Winfrey was raised in Milwaukee. And Harrison Ford is from Wisconsin. And Arnold Schwarzenegger went to school in Wisconsin. There you go. That's Wisconsin.
That is Wisconsin.
Wiscansin.
It feels so weird to go from like tarot cards and dream interpretation to Wisconsin.
All the way up and what's it? I can take you to a mansion.
All the way up in Wisconsin.
Those aren't the right lyrics, but it's something like that.
Oh my god, but that is so fitting because today I'm talking about the Lamont Mansion in Wisconsin.
It's the cards. I'm having a sixth sense.
Seriously. So, located on the shores of West Bay Lake in Vilas County are the ruins of the Lamont Mansion, now known as Summerwind. The mansion was built in the Victorian style and sat on 1.5 acres of land. This property is located on private property, meaning it is closed to the public, so you can't go. So legend goes that Summerwind was built in the early 1900s. Because it was right on the water, it was first used as a fishing lodge and bed and breakfast known as the West Bay Lake Fishing Lodge. Then in 1916, a man named Robert Patterson Lamont purchased the property, though other sources say he was the one who built it in 1916. It was a long time ago. Lamont actually went on to become the United States Secretary of Commerce under Herbert Hoover.
What?
He went on to become the United States Secretary of Commerce under Herbert Hoover.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Like swallowed.
It came out, but it didn't. He took over right after the Great Depression in 1929 and served in that position until 1932. So later on in his life.
One of them, it's either Coolidge or Hoover. Because I only remember because they have the Calvin and the CC and the HH.
Oh, yes.
One of them got super depressed from all the crap that was happening with the Great Depression.
So maybe it was Hoover.
It might have been Hoover.
Because this guy served under Hoover right after the Great Depression.
Was he responsible for it, or was that Calvin Coolidge? You don't know. Anyway, continue.
You ask me history like I know these things.
Sorry.
So he bought the property with the dream of turning it into a summer retreat for his family, which is how it got the name Lamont Mansion at first. Upon moving in, Lamont began renovations and employed 2 Chicago architects for the job, and supposedly it took 2 years for them to complete all the renovations. When I said supposedly, I thought of you with the one episode we did where you said every other word.
Okay, because one of the videos I watched for the story I'm telling, oh my god, the amount of times that they said supposedly.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, is that how annoying I sounded?
It's like, get a thesaurus and look up other words.
Reportedly, supposedly, maybe, kind of.
The mansion was a large building complete with a main house and a servant's quarter. This was drastically bigger and more elaborate than it was when it was a fishing lodge and bed and breakfast. I mean, it took 2 years for renovations to finish up, so it was pretty big.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't long after renovations that servants on the property started to talk about strange, unexplained noises and disembodied footsteps that they would hear around.
Oh.
But the Lamonts paid this no mind, mostly ignoring these claims. Then one night in the 1930s, Lamont was having dessert with his wife to celebrate all of the new renovations that were completed on the house. As they were enjoying each other's company, Miss Lamont heard a noise coming from the basement. The door to the basement was right near where their dining room was. No one was supposed to be down there, so being the big man, Lamont grabbed his pistol and decided to go investigate. As he was approaching the door, he saw a figure. Thinking it was an intruder, he pulled out his pistol and fired 2 shots right before the figure vanished.
Ooh.
When Lamont and his wife realized that the bullets went through the figure and into the door, they packed up their things and never turned back to the house, leaving it abandoned. So the mansion sat abandoned until Mr. and Miss Kiefer purchased it. Unfortunately, Mr. Kiefer passed away, but pretty soon after moving in, Miss Kiefer began to feel unsafe in the house. She also started to believe it may be haunted. Suddenly and unexpectedly, she up and left, leaving behind all of her belongings.
Damn!
As she was leaving, she told neighbors they could take anything they wanted from the house, but she was not responsible if anything bad happened to them while they stepped foot on the property.
Well, shit.
The house again sat abandoned for nearly 40 years until 1970 when Arnold and Ginger Hinshaw purchased the home and moved in with their children. But they started to experience some pretty disturbing things. So, first, their daughter April expressed feeling uncomfortable in the house, which, they would hear mumbling coming from empty rooms, and when they would step into the room to look, the noises would immediately stop. Doors and windows would open and close on their own. This actually got so bad that Arnold started to nail the windows shut because he was getting so annoyed.
Damn.
Yeah. Shadows and vague shapes would constantly be seen moving around the hallways and out of the corner of one's eye. Disembodied footsteps, anomalous smells, and cold spots were commonplace. An apparition of a woman was even seen floating back and forth just beyond the front doors that led to the dining room, usually described as wearing a white dress. Oh, always. A phantom in 18th century clothing would walk around opening and closing doors.
Okay, but wait a minute. Of course it's going to be a white dress. Ghosts are white.
But then how do you explain...
When have you ever seen a ghost in color?
There's a lady in red and a lady in brown from other places. Yeah.
I've only heard gray or white. So of course it's going to be in white.
I've heard of other colors. It's just white's the most common one. Because it's like always a bride.
I have a bride.
Of course you do. Appliances would break constantly but would fix themselves just before the repairmen arrived. Chairs would move.
Oh my, that's like when you go to the doctor and you suddenly get better.
Yes. All the time. Or when you have a computer problem and you bring someone over and you're like, of course it's working now.
Yep.
Chairs would move across the room on their own. Family members would hear their names being whispered in the hallway.
No, I would die.
I hate that.
Oof.
And one source said that Arnold's car would just, quote, burst into flames when he would try and go to work. But it's like, how often can your car just burst into flames?
Do you know how much I would love to say, I can't come. My car bursts into flames every time I try to go, so I'm going to listen to whatever apparition, whatever, is trying to tell me not to go to work. Sorry.
But another source confirmed it only happened once.
Oh.
But,
One and done, that's all you need.
The family also once had friends over who left shortly after arriving after they saw a face coming out of a wall.
Shut the front door.
So they never came back.
Absolutely not.
I don't blame them.
I would have moved out.
So the family, they tried to move past all of the hauntings and the strange happenings. They wanted to make the most out of their beautiful historic home. So they called in some men to help with more renovations. They soon realized that this wasn't going to happen, though. Usually the men would call in saying they couldn't come in because they were sick, but there were a few men who straight up told the family that they refused to work on Summerwood due to its haunting reputation.
Damn.
Well, the Hinshaws would not be swayed and decided to just do the renovation work on their own instead.
That always turns out well.
Oh, this one turns out really well.
What?
This one turns out really well. You're like not hearing things.
You swallowed it.
I do not.
Yes, you did.
Well, I'll hear on recording and I will make my decision.
I didn't take my medication today. I'm sorry.
So one of these days, they were working on a closet in one of the bedrooms, painting it and whatnot. In the closet, there was a shoe drawer that had been installed for some storage. Arnold pulled it out to paint around it, and when he did so, he noticed that there was a large, dark space right behind the drawer. Ginger brought him a flashlight, and Arnold shimmied his way into the closet just enough so his chest, shoulders, and head would be inside the open space.
That's stupid.
Well, he's also big, so that's kind of all he could fit. Looking around with the flashlight, all seemed well, until the beam of the flashlight fell on something so frightening that Arnold jumped back in shock and scrambled away from the opening. Jammed into the secret and hidden compartment in this random closet in the home was some sort of corpse. Calming down from the initial shock, Arnold was finally able to think clearly and figure that an animal must have made its way into the little area and died. So Arnold tried to squeeze his way back in for a closer look, but he was too big and couldn't make it fully in, so he wasn't really able to see this corpse or animal or whatever up close. Well, when his children returned home from school that day, he recruited his daughter Mary to help him.
That asshole.
She took the flashlight and crawled her way into the opening in the back of the closet.
Joe would have to pay me at minimum $1 million to get in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
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 Like, no.
But I'd be the one who goes in because I'm shorter than everyone.
Not your Joe.
Oh, your dad, Joe.
My dad, Joe.
Ah, yes, yes. So it was a lot easier for her to go in because she was a lot smaller than Arnold. Not even a minute after going into the opening, Mary let out a horrified scream.
Ooh.
This was no animal corpse. This was a human corpse. Mary had seen a skull, still covered in dirty black hair, a brown arm, and a portion of a leg. Not knowing what to do, and in my opinion making the wrong choice, the family just left the corpse where they found it, never called the authorities,
Okay, you know what?
just left it there.
This family deserves whatever they get because they're fucking stupid.
So yeah, I wouldn't like to be in a place knowing that there's just a corpse chilling in one of the walls.
No, this family's moronic.
Arnold apparently suffered a nervous breakdown because of these hauntings.
I fucking would too.
Right. Before moving into the house, the couple had purchased a Hammond organ. Arnold enjoyed playing it as a way to relax, but soon he began staying up very late at night playing the organ. His playing became frenzied. He would mix melodies that sounded eerie together, and his playing would increase in volume and intensity as the night went on. His playing was terrifying the family, and Ginger would beg him to stop playing, but he would tell her that he had to continue. The demons in his head were demanding he play.
Ugh.
This behavior scared his family so badly that they would huddle together in a room and cry out of fear.
Oh my god.
I know. And it wasn't just the playing of the organ. Arnold started to show intense anger and rage to his family, going as far as to, trigger warning, kill the family pet to, quote, prove a point. And it was around this time that Ginger, trigger warning, attempted suicide. Eventually, Arnold was sent away to receive treatment, and Ginger packed up and moved out with her children, taking them to live with her parents in Granton. They had only lived in the house for 6 months.
Damn.
So I thought this was the end of the story, and then I found another article that went more into it. So when it looked like Arnold wasn't going to get better, he and Ginger got divorced. Soon after, Ginger was getting better health-wise and soon met and married a man named George Olson. Everything was fine for her and her life was peaceful until father, Raymond Bobber, decided he wanted to purchase Summerwind. So Raymond and his wife Marie, with help from their son Carl, so Ginger's brother, had this plan to turn the property into a restaurant and inn. Bobber was a popcorn vendor and businessman after all, so he had all these ideas.
Sure.
They told Ginger about their plan, and she was obviously terrified and begged them not to buy it. This was obviously confusing to her parents. It was a beautiful location, a beautiful house, and would make a wonderful restaurant and inn. But Ginger had never told her parents what had happened to her family while they lived in the house. Which I think is wild. If I see something, I call my mom and I'm like, listen to this.
Yeah, but I mean, who really talked about anything back then?
That is true. So Bobber knew he wanted this house, and somehow he found out that it was haunted, but he still wanted the house anyways. He claimed that he had spent time at the house, experiencing the hauntings, and even found out the identity of the ghost who haunted the house. This ghost was Jonathan Carver, a British explorer from the 18th century. He said that Carver's spirit was searching for a deed that had been given to him from the Sioux Indians. The deed was now in a box that had been sealed somewhere in the foundation of the house, and this deed gave him the rights to the northern third of Wisconsin.
But he's dead.
So it's like a big deal. Well, I guess Bobber wants it now. So Carver had asked for Bobber's help in finding this deed.
I doubt that deed is going to be valid till you just own a top half of a state.
I know. In 1979, Bobber wrote a book titled, quote, The Carver Effect, A Paranormal Experience,
Oh, Jesus.
under his pen name Wolfgang von Bobber.
Oh, my God.
And in this book, he wrote about his time at Summerwind. He spoke more about Carver and how the two would communicate through dreams, trances, and a Ouija board.
Oh, Lordy.
One day, after having bought the house, Raymond, his son Carl, Ginger, and her husband George were at the house, looking over it, walking around, you know. As they were about to leave the second floor, George spotted a closet. A closet that had a large shoe storage drawer.
Uh-oh.
For some reason, he began pulling out the drawers and looking through this closet. He was extremely confused when Ginger started begging him to stop. This is when Ginger finally came clean and told her family about all that she had experienced in the house, including the corpse in the closet. Or the skeleton in the closet. After hearing the story, the men obviously rushed upstairs to the closet. Carl climbed into the opening behind the drawers with a flashlight and began looking around. But just a few minutes later, he came out of the opening and informed everyone that the space back there was empty.
Shut the front door.
No corpse to be found. George and Raymond looked around as well and also came up empty-handed. There was no longer a corpse hidden away in that space. And these were after Ginger and them moved out. No one lived there until Bobber bought it. So not long after that day, towards the end of summer, Carl was in the house alone. He was there getting an estimate for a repair they needed. He was going to talk to someone who knew how to remove bats, as there were now bats living in the house. He also wanted to clean up the house, do some yard work, just kind of get some stuff done. Well, it began raining, and as not to damage the old floor, Carl was walking around to make sure all the windows were closed. He was upstairs in a dark hallway going to check the other rooms when he heard his name being called.
Oh, fuck.
He knew he was alone and instinctually looked around anyways. He quickly closed the windows up there and walked right downstairs. But right as he was walking into the front room, he heard 2 gunshots ring out. Running to the kitchen, he immediately smelt the smell of gunpowder and discovered the room to be filled with smoke. Thinking someone had broken in and fired a gun, Carl frantically searched the doors and windows, only to find them all undisturbed and still locked. But continuing a search, he did notice something in the door that led to the basement. He discovered 2 old bullet holes.
Shut the fuck up.
Think back to Lamont. So this was more than enough for Carl, so he grabbed his things and left the house.
Because he shot what he thought was... Oh, that's right.
Yep, so he hears the gunshots.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole thing that happened with Lamont was just replayed.
Oh!
Yeah, so it's like a... Oh, what's it called? Not a habitual haunting. Maybe it's one haunting where it just keeps happening. So it's like the same pattern that the ghosts had, and that's the same thing that just keeps happening over and over. But things continued to go poorly for the Bobbers. Workmen who were helping with all the renovations started to complain that their tools were going missing and that they constantly felt like they were being watched. It got so bad that some workers refused to even stay on the job. They also said that their measurements were constantly getting messed up. They would measure a room one day, then the next day that same room would have different measurements. Marie even agreed with the workers. She said she felt uneasy in the house and felt like as she was moving around the house, she was constantly being followed. So that feeling of being followed, I've only had that happen a couple times. Like, when you run out of a basement, you feel like someone's chasing you. But
anytime I run up the stairs.
Yeah. But there was this time when I was at JMU and we were doing ghost hunting. We went to the old hospital that used to be on campus, and the first 2 floors are like classrooms. And so we were investigating on like one of the upper floors, and we were walking through what used to be like this old laboratory part of it. And I was in the back of the group, and I have never felt the feeling so strong where there was someone walking behind me. Ooh, I looked at everyone and I said, we need to leave this room right now. And it was like the most intense someone is watching me feeling I've ever had. Ooh, I still remember that feeling. And that's how I imagine Marie was feeling when she like felt followed around the house.
I always chuckle a little bit when I read stories and people are like, oh, they say that you get an ominous feeling, or you get like, feel, and I was like, okay, but if you're going to a haunted place, I'd fucking feel weird too.
Yeah. But it was just different because other rooms you wouldn't feel it.
Well, yeah, no.
But it was, just that room. Yeah. Ooh, it was creepy. So, Raymond Bobber had some weird experiences around this time as well. In his book, he claimed that the rooms in the mansion had a supernatural power that allowed them to change size and dimension at will. He said that he would measure a room one day, and when he went to remeasure it the next day, it would be completely different, just like the workers had. His measurements also didn't match up with the blueprint, with his measurements being much, much larger than what was reflected in the blueprints. One example of this was when Raymond was measuring the dining room area to see how many people he could fit to seat in the room, fire code, all that stuff. All of his measurements were done. He determined that he could fit about 150 patrons in the dining room. To verify this, he looked at the blueprints, and based off of those, he would only be able to fit about 75.
Whoa!
Half of what he had measured previously. Multiple photos were taken of the room, and those photos would usually show size differences as well. Ginger had taken a picture in the living room when she had lived there. In her picture, you see the drapes that she hung in the room, drapes that she took with her to her new house. When Raymond took a picture of the living room, the same drapes appeared in his photo.
What?
Though they hadn't been there when the photo was taken, and they weren't there after. Just showing up in the picture. Still, while they were trying to do renovations, Ginger offered to hypnotize her father and brother for some reason. During the hypnosis of her brother, a dark, evil voice came from him that claimed it was, quote, very strong. Ginger believed that her brother had been possessed during the process and apparently successfully exorcised him. Just cash. She then hypnotized her father. Well under, her father had a vision that he was in the basement of the house and found a deed that was hidden in a box. The deed was signed by Jonathan Carver. So, soon enough, the plans to turn Summerwood into a restaurant and inn were abandoned. Bobber then tried to obtain a permit to operate a concession stand near the mansion, but the permit was denied by local ordinances because it was prohibited it, so he couldn't do that. So I mentioned the book that Bobber wrote, The Carver Effect, A Paranormal Experience. He wrote about more supernatural and paranormal things he experienced while living there. He mentioned that the property was usually left uninhabited due to all the supernatural activity that went on. But neighbors of Bobber's had different things to say.
Ooh.
They claimed that he never lived in the house, had never even spent one night there, but rather lived in a trailer on the property of the mansion.
Oh.
So some even questioned if Bobber ever really owned Summerwind to begin with. This came from a neighbor who was talking to Pooley, who I will mention soon, and told him that Bobber had tried to buy the house on a contract for deed, but that plan fell through. So a contract for deed pretty much means that a person will acquire the possession of like a piece of property and they'll make payments on that to the seller. So the seller will still technically hold the legal title until the buyers finish making all payments,
So
and then it's theirs.
Instead of going to a bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of like a car loan, but for like person.
Yeah.
So it was rumored that the house was technically abandoned and at this point owned by the bank, and that no one knew what Bobber was actually doing up there. But this particular story cannot be verified, and there has been nothing that can prove that Bobber doesn't own Summerwood.
Okay.
Summerwind. Two neighbors in particular stated that the mansion was not haunted and that there had been no rumors of it being haunted until his book had been published.
Oh.
They say that the mansion was abandoned, so it sort of sparked into this story of it being haunted, all elevated by Bobber's book. And those claims of the house being haunted spread even more when Summerwind was featured in a 1980 Life magazine photo essay titled Terrifying Tales of 9 Haunted Houses.
Oh.
So it just kind of blew up from there.
Yeah, seriously.
Locals actually hate the story of the house being haunted. They hate the people.
And here we are telling it.
Right. They hate the people who come look at it. They hate the ghost hunters who come investigate.
So don't do that.
They just hate everything involved with the house. In 1983, after seeing the Life article magazine, Will Pooley, a freelance writer, decided that he wanted to get to the bottom of the story. He planned to gather facts and try to discredit that the house was haunted. First, he was able to discredit the deed that Carver was looking for. Pooley said that if a deed had been found, it would have been worthless at this point.
That's what I said.
Yeah. First, the Sioux had never claimed land west of the Mississippi River. Second, the British government had made a ruling saying that no individual was able to purchase Indian land. So this land had not been sold to Carver, but rather had been given to him by the Sioux after some assistance he had provided them. So maybe he did get the deed. I don't know. Pooley wasn't very clear about what he was trying to prove here. He also said that if there was a deed, it would have been located at the old land office in Wasu in the 30s, and it is unlikely that Carver would have had any means to be able to travel that far in the 30s. But it is also said that Summerwind was built 130 years after Carver had died, so all of this with the ghost looking for the deed just can't be explained.
Yeah.
Then, Pooley found a man who had helped pour the mansion's foundation back in 1960, Herb Dickman. He said that nothing had been placed in the foundation while it was being poured. No deed, no box, nothing.
I thought this house was built.
Could have been the renovations that were happening when Lamont bought it.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Then, in 1985, officials from the town of Land O'Lakes, which is a real place, like the butter.
Ah!
Yeah. They tried to demolish the abandoned house as it had become a sort of local teen hangout. They would meet up before burglarizing and vandalizing nearby cottages.
Oh, that's
This was like their staging area. The attempt failed, but I guess it was okay because on June 19th, 1988, the house was struck by lightning multiple times, and it was destroyed by a fire that was created from the lightning. Now all that stands is the stone foundation and the chimneys. Summerwind is apparently on an episode of A Haunting that aired in October of 2005 on the Discovery Channel for Season 1, Episode 2. But there are some future plans, I guess, for the property. Harold and Babs Tracy and the Fox Valley Ghost Hunters plan to take Summerwind and turn it into a bed and breakfast. But nothing has been said about this recently, so there's no way to know. So some other more recent hauntings. One investigator visited before it burned down, and he said that there was one bathroom in the mansion where he got a horrible feeling of dread. He said he walked in and felt the dread, so he stepped back into the hall. Back in the hall, he felt fine, so he decided to try again, kind of test it out. He stepped into the bathroom, felt the same intense feeling of dread, but this time it was accompanied by him feeling extremely nauseous. Stepping back into the hall, he was fine again. And so, I love hauntedplaces.org in the comments, so that's where I went. One lady wanted to visit the property as she had been interested in it. A user with the name The Reaper replied to her saying, quote, "Are you insane? Do you not know of this evil place? Mark my words. You have been warned."
No.
Yeah, I know. Another person named Cray had a crazy story. But apparently it was too crazy to share on the website. So you can email her if you want the story. I did not email.
No.
Kay has a friend who visited Summerwind and confirmed that the rooms do seem to change size. They walked in and got so disoriented by the rooms changing so drastically that they actually had a hard time getting out of the house.
Oh my God.
Which I really don't like.
No.
Others who have visited the property have reported hearing voices, getting bad feelings, and just feeling there were spirits around and that something was off. A lot of the comments mentioned people feeling sick when they enter the property and they get hurt once they enter. And there were a lot of mediums or sensitive people who went to this property, and they mentioned a girl ghost named April, maybe. I can't remember the girl ghost's name, but they heard some little child talking to them. But there you have it, the legend of Summerwind.
It's a creepy ass place.
It is. And when I found this, I was like, oh, cool, a little haunted house. And then there was all this stuff, and I was like, ooh, this is fun.
Much better than mine.
Well, what are you telling us?
So I took a page out of your book and decided to cover both a road and a bridge.
Ooh, I love haunted roads and bridges.
I thought I was going to too. It kind of sounded like this had some interesting stuff, and then it was like nothing.
As does seem to happen.
You know? So we'll go with what we got. So the first one is the most boring one. I thought it was going to be the most exciting one, but it's the most boring one.
It's
It's the
disappointing.
most exciting, like, background story than
Okay.
the other one, but then it just stops. So, Boy Scout Lane.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It was initially bought by the Boy Scouts to create a campsite for Boy Scouts.
Makes sense, yes.
Mhm.
Checks out.
Didn't end up using it, but the name stuck. So our legend goes back to sometime between the 1950s and 60s, and a Boy Scout troop went camping off of Boy Scout Lane,
Mm-hmm.
and the Boy Scout troop disappeared. It was never seen again. How, you ask?
I do, yeah.
That depends on who you ask. Some say that they were murdered by their scout leader.
Oh.
Some say that the bus driver murdered them all or crashed, something like that. One version says that the boys went walking into the woods and with a lantern, and the lantern fell and caused a huge forest fire and killed them all. There's also a version that tells that the boys just kind of walked up into the woods, disappearing one by one into the night. So there you go. A few versions I saw mention how 2 boys managed to make it out alive. However, they got lost in the woods and died of starvation.
Oh, no.
Bless you.
Bless you, Bubba.
So you can decide what happened, although I should warn you there is no record of anyone disappearing
Of course.
in that area. However, that doesn't stop the locals from telling camp stories
Oh.
and having ghostly encounters. So while the spot did not have very many stories to share of what people have experienced, there are a few people have said kind of things.
Mhm.
So some have reported seeing lights floating through the trees, thinking that it might be the lantern of the lost boys.
Oh.
If you go with the version of the story where the scoutmaster killed the troop, some have said to see a ghostly body hanging from branches of an elm tree, because apparently he killed himself when he realized what he'd done.
Awful.
So,
Wait, so the lantern thing? So Casey, Mom's coworker, she lives in a place that used to be like part of the battlefields. And so she said that there's been times when she's been sitting out on her back deck, like at night, and in the woods, she sees like a lamp like bobbing, and it's in the area where all the soldiers used to walk. Isn't that creepy?
I don't get why people choose to live in these places.
Well, she told me, she's like, if you ever want to come over, you can come and just look out the window.
So, funny story. I meant to tell you this sooner, but I forgot. So, before I had people over for my birthday, Jessie was like helping me clean up or whatever.
Shout out, Spencer.
Yeah. And so I had like walked in and she moved some things around and she moved the vest
Oh.
and I put it back.
Did she ask you about it?
Nope. She didn't ask, which thankfully that was good because I didn't want to have to try to explain, well, there may or may not be a ghost and I'm too scared to find out.
Right.
So the vest stays there.
It's just become wall art at this point.
Yeah.
Door art.
Yeah.
You know,
Same thing.
same thing.
So, anyway, some have also claimed that if you drive in the area, you will end up with handprints of children on your
Ew.
car. One story tells of a group of teens who had gone into the woods to see if they can encounter the ghostly scouts. And they and others say that even if you don't see anything, you get a sense of dread and foreboding.
As always.
Yes, when you're in the area. And the supposed group of teens supposedly said that you could see a light flash like in and out of the trees, and the teens heard something hard hit their car,
Ew.
and they took that as a sign to head out.
I think that was smart.
But when they got home, they noticed that their car was covered in scratches that looked to be like scratches from nails. They were very insistent that it wasn't branches.
I mean, I feel like nail scratches and branch scratches would be very different.
Yeah. When I was like typing out and reading nail scratches, I got like the heebie-jeebies.
Oh, yeah.
Same feeling when I think of like holding a crayon. I hate the feeling of crayons.
Why?
It just is uncomfy.
I did not know this about you
I hate the
in our
feeling of
18 years of friendship.
I hate the feelings of crayons, and I fucking hate styrofoam.
Joe hates
I
styrofoam.
hate styrofoam. I
So when
can't
we were-
touch it, I can't move it. I can't.
When we moved in, anything that had styrofoam,
Yeah,
he's
no,
like,
fuck that.
Lauren, can you get
Fuck
that?
that.
Everything.
I can't. When people sharpen knives, can't do that.
Oh, yeah.
Can't do that.
My dad likes to sharpen knives.
Of course he does.
Yeah, yeah. And then afterwards he's like, look how sharp this is. Like, he gets really proud of his sharpening skills.
Oh, did you see what I
Yes. It is your birthday. Happy birthday, Mackenzie.
so cute. That was great.
I'm proud of him for understanding Facebook enough to comment.
Yes. It was wonderful.
I know.
So Alex Shane is a reporter who decided to venture out with the local paranormal investigator Chad Lewis. Chad told Alex about people reporting all kinds of paranormal activity in the area, and they even said that they have seen a ghostly bus driving through the forest.
Ooh.
Nothing showed up for the pair, but Chad so kindly let Alex know that some people have reported weird things happening to them once they got home after visiting the area.
Oh, ew, yeah, I don't like that.
Like, thank you for sharing.
Like, when we were doing ghost investigations and stuff, they would tell us a lot of times, they're like, don't invite anything home. Don't, like, even just, like, to be nice. They were like, don't invite anything home. Don't think about inviting anything home. And then here I am thinking, what if I accidentally think about inviting something home? Like, intrusive thoughts, you know. But, yeah, I was like, you don't have to worry. I'm not going to invite anyone here home.
No, absolutely not. You stay here, I go home.
Right. I will come back to visit you next time we come here, but that's it.
We visit each other's homes. That's how it works when people are alive.
No, I visit your home.
Well, that's true.
You don't visit mine.
That's true, that's true. But yeah, that's Boy Scout Lane.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I told you it was short.
A little bit.
I was like all excited because I was like, oh, these Boy Scouts disappeared. This is going to be so interesting.
Right.
No.
No. It is interesting.
It is interesting. But the story is probably not real because there's no reports of
right. And I feel like if a whole like troop of Boy Scouts went missing,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's why I got all excited and I was like, ugh. But this next one, not as exciting of a story. It's pretty, your run of the mill generic story.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that went to go check it out.
Ooh. Okay.
So I have more of like firsthand experiences than like people have said kind of thing.
I tried to find that with Summerwind, but there was like nothing. Probably because it's private property, so
Yeah. Not that much happens in these videos, but at least someone went to go look.
Yeah, which we appreciate because we're not going to do it.
I did notice something between two videos that I watched, some like similar things happening.
Oh.
So I figure...
that's cool.
We'll get into it.
Okay,
so here's the legend. It is the Bloody Bride Bridge.
Of course, there's a bride.
Right. That's what I said, which is why I was like, oh, hey, a bridge and a bride.
Oh my God.
So it's located off of Highway 66 in Stevens Point. In fact, the Boy Scout Road is also same area.
Oh, interesting.
The Bloody Bride Bridge got its name from the tragic story of the bride and groom who were crossing the bridge on their wedding night and they got into a tragic accident.
Of course.
No word on the groom at all.
Of course not, because...
whatever.
Yeah.
But the bride, however, did not survive.
Of course.
It is said that she haunts the bridge in her bloody gown looking for her groom.
Oh, so then you do have color. Literally proved it wrong, your whole point.
When I was in the middle of that argument, I dawned on me like what my story was going to be, and I was like, you're going to sound like a fucking idiot later.
Glad I could help you point that out.
Yep. I was hoping I could scoot past that.
Like, I would let you scoot past something you argued against me. No.
It also would have been funny if you had, and then you were going back to listen to the recording, and you heard it.
And then I'd be like, damn it.
He made a little cut in. See, I was right.
I would.
Exactly. Okay. Anyway, so the legend also goes on to say that one night a police officer was driving along the bridge and he hits a woman. He gets out of the car to investigate and there's no one to be found. And when he got back into his car, the bloody bride, backseat. Anytime I'm watching anything and there's a mirror involved, I look away.
Yes.
I do not look. I can't.
No.
Can't do it.
Oh my God, I heard the creepiest thing. This podcast I listen to, they do this thing called Campfire Stories. And so people just can listen in and then people tell their stories. And so one girl, she was a sensitive and she was kind of a medium. And she was like, yeah, you know that feeling when you're in the bathroom and you're washing your face and you feel like someone's behind you? And everyone's like, yeah. And she goes, yeah, it's because someone is. I know. So I was like, good thing I haven't washed my face yet. But isn't that so creepy?
It is creepy. That's why, if I go into a bathroom, I won't look at anything until I turn the lights on.
Valid point. Yeah.
So.
I always have to pee in the middle of the night, so I don't turn the lights on because I'm like, I don't want to wake up more.
Well, yeah, so I do that too. But
yeah, I won't look in the look in the mirror. No, actually I won't either. I will purposely look down if I'm washing my hands in the sink. I look down and then I leave.
Yeah. I won't look in the
mirror. Actually, yeah, now that you mentioned it, I don't either if it's a dark bathroom.
Yeah.
Because that's just...
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, no.
I remember the first time someone told me about the Bloody Mary story, and after that, I will not look in a fucking mirror.
We once did Bloody Mary when I was younger, and it was like all of us kids, and we had one adult with us. And so we went into the bathroom, and we all did the turning around thing, and I was facing the wrong direction, so they had to point me.
That's funny.
Nothing worked, but...
Right. The amount of times we probably did that at sleepovers.
Oh, yeah.
But when he turned around, Bride was gone.
Ugh, no.
In case you forgot, because we got off on a tangent.
She was...
He thought he hit somebody, got out, wasn't, she was in the backseat.
Yep.
So, just to recap. Some have said that if you go onto the bridge at midnight and park your car at the bloody... You know, I knew that was going to happen. The amount of times that I wrote Bloody Bridge instead of Bloody Bride.
Yeah, I can see why that happened to you a lot.
OMG.
Because it's just one letter added.
It's one letter. She'll get in your backseat.
Of course she will.
So, many have claimed to see the Bloody Bride along the bridge on a rainy night, or a dense fog that seems to be out of place. A couple of local investigators went to see if they could make contact with this bride.
Naturally, yes.
So, our friend Alex and Chad.
Oh, yeah.
After Boy Scout Lane, they drove to the bridge.
Okay.
Nothing. Couldn't see anything. He did feel a sense of unease, although I would feel uneasy too.
Yeah.
So, but no ghost. So, there you have it. Two young men went out during the day to investigate the area, and they walked under the bridge. Was it EMF? Is that one? Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
But they
EMF.
had one of those, and it starts going bananas. And I was like, oh my God, yes, this is so great. It's because the fucker had his phone in his pocket.
Oh.
And they were like, is it me? And then they would bring it closer, be like, beep, 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 and then take it away from the phone. And I was like, yeah, it's you.
Like, good job, yes.
Yeah. So then that made me skeptical of like any other time it started to go off, because I was like, is it you?
Yeah.
Because every time you bring that thing near something electronic,
Yeah, that
it goes off.
Well, because that's what it's technically used for. Yeah.
So I was skeptic for these guys. But, okay, so they go further into the woods, and there's this like cement bench thing. It has some writing on it. Couldn't tell what it was. Not much activity really happened in that area, but they came back at night with a friend to see if they, might have some better luck. And this time, when they brought the device, they also had this like thingy for like communication. And anytime that like, okay, so the communication thing made this like pretty consistent clicking noise. And anytime the EMF reader would start to go up, the clicking noise would change.
Oh.
Like there would be sometimes like an interference, or
interesting.
Sometimes you could make out maybe a word was said. But it definitely was like anytime that thing, the EMF started to go higher, the communication device thingy that I can't remember the name of, the sound would change.
Interesting.
It was very interesting.
That's very cool.
Right? That's what I thought. I said, okay, that's...
Yeah.
And they also, at one point, one of the friend that was with them was like, oh, there's like a thing above you.
A halo?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So they tried to take a picture. I don't think they could really see anything. There's one picture that they put up. They're like an orb. And I'm like, I just think back to the pictures that we took.
Yeah.
And it was so defined.
Yeah.
That it's like, okay, clearly that's something, versus like theirs was like, that could easily be some sort of weird flashlight.
Or dust.
Yeah. Just because it was so faint.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Not saying it's not true, but just, kind of. But that's the only part that was like, some of it was like, oh, that's a bit of a stretch. But some of it, because the only reason why I was like, oh, this might be a thing is because the second video I watched, these two other women also went to the bridge at night. They brought their own EMF thingamabob. Looked different.
They all look they can look very different.
There was like one point when it spiked, but theirs really didn't go off as much as the other guys did.
Yeah.
And like they like walked down to the water and were checking out all the places. One of the girls was like, no, you can go. Like,
that would be me.
Oh, when you watch Wednesday, the blonde chick, oh my God. I want to be Wednesday, but I am Eden, the other girl.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, to a T. It's minus the fact that she loves pink. We're the same person.
Okay. So keep that in mind when I watch.
Like, it's wild. But anyway, so these two women go, and they also brought one of those communication thingies. And just like them, every time it made the same clicking noise, and every time their thingy would go off, the same interference sounded on this communication
Oh,
thing
that's cool.
in the same spot.
That's cool.
Because when I watched the 2 videos back to back, and I
Yeah.
was like, they're standing in the same exact spot that those guys were standing in, and the clicky noise, whatever interference that was happening, happened in the same spot
Mm-hmm.
and happened in the same way.
That's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. So they were trying to figure out if it was like the bride.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't really get a straight answer.
The unknown husband.
Unknown husband, where'd he go to? The Washington County Paranormal Group went to investigate the bridge, and they apparently didn't have any luck. However, this article that I read this in reported these really weird rock formations. I was like, well, why are you reporting a rock formation? Well, apparently it was like one of those like
You got this.
strategically,
There you go.
thank you, stacked.
Yeah.
That like doesn't just like rocks fall on top of each other that
Yeah,
way.
no.
thing.
Yeah.
And so it was very much like, okay, this is weird because this is also in a haunted place. So while nothing, came out and contacted them, they definitely made note that they're like, those rock formations are very bizarre.
Yeah.
Especially given the area that they're in.
Yeah.
But this person who was trying to investigate tried to look into tried to get records to see if there's any car accidents. Couldn't get access to those. Tried to talk to retired policemen to see if any of them had this, hit the person kind of thing. Couldn't get anything from them. So nothing is confirmed
Yeah.
that these things took place. But next time you cross the bridge, be sure to make sure you don't collect an extra passenger along the way.
No.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
I would go an hour out of the way to not cross that bridge.
Same.
Yeah.
When it said Highway 66, I was like, is that the main one? But I don't think it goes up that high. I don't think it goes through Wisconsin.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Someone will let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know.
But that's my bloody bridge and my haunted road.
Nice.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we need sometimes.
You know?
Because this episode's already at our normal length.
Well, that's why I brought the dream interpretations and the tarot cards, because I
I
knew my story was going to be
know.
short.
Look at you come so prepared.
I almost forgot them.
I would not be surprised. Because remember that gift you were going to give me? There was one gift. It might not have been this sweatshirt, but there was some gift, and you were like, oh, I'm going to bring it next time. And then you would come, and you're like, I forgot it. Oh, I think it was this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Every time you came, you're like, I forgot it again.
Yeah. And I remembered once I was in my car, and I was like, well, okay, you can get it another time. I said, no. Your story is short as fuck. And you literally wrote down the dream to talk about it. Go back in your house and get the damn cards. So
Good job.
I did. I got the damn cards.
You got the damn cards.
I did. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for listening to our rambling at the beginning.
Thank you.
That was fun.
What's fun? I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Oh, yeah. I had a great time hearing it.
They might not have, but
we
that's okay.
did.
It's not their podcast.
Yeah.
So, I'm here.
They could skip forward a little bit until we got to the state facts at 30 minutes in.
We should make a disclaimer at the front. If you want to skip some rambling.
Right. You can follow us on all the things.
Let us know if you kind of enjoyed hearing the tarot cards and the dream thing, because whenever we get our lives together at Patreon, we might consider doing some of that for special episodes.
Oh, that would be fun.
So if it was something you're interested in,
Let us know.
let us know. DM us.
Just message us.
Let us know you listen.
Every time someone messages us and tells us they listen, Mackenzie and I both freak out, and it's literally the coolest thing.
I've cried.
Yeah, I know.
I've cried.
Oh, there was one message that made me cry too.
I cried a little bit.
But yeah, so thanks for listening. So stay scary.
Stay safe.